Hey, everybody, this is Sally Hendrick. This is the Who's Riding Shotgun show, and I'm really excited to have Laura Reich in the house today. Are you over there or over there? Over there?
Over here.
And then we have Kathy Erickson, and we have Mariana Ruiz. Yay!
Hi.
And what I would love for everyone to do, everyone in the audience and everyone on the screen, tweet this out, and let's get ready to tweet. Tweet. Okay, so I got everybody see us on Twitter, know that we're having fun over here. And this is recording what we're saying. And then just type a little blurb in there. No more limiting beliefs. We can do anything we set our minds to. I'm just making it up. Woo! And then post the tweet. Done. And then post it on Facebook. And that will take that picture that I put on here. Talk show has begun. You can write more there. Woohoo! Post that. And I made it public. All right, so we're all out there. And then over on the side, what's going to happen is people are going to come into the room and they may ask questions. And not everybody does that /Q beforehand. If you are in the audience and you ask questions and you do a /Q and then do your question, it will pop up on the opposite side of the screen for us. And it will show up really, really big for us. Also, you can tag someone when you're you can't put a space after it, Laura, I don't think. Right?
I know.
You know. Okay, good.
I'm just making sure they know what / you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, because I don't know. I think I'm mirror imaged here, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's
what
/. If you type in just the /, it'll actually pull up the list of commands. So you have questions, topics, shrug, notify, or table flip.
I know, isn't that crazy? And what does that mean, table flip? Oh, I want to see what it does.
Design. It's like a little emoji for blab.
That's a table. Oh, is that a Teresa? Real Housewives of New Jersey? Is that's her? She's the table flipper, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
The one that went to jail.
I don't know.
All right, table flip. Let's see what all these do. Notify your followers. What does that do? Oh, that's another little thing to notify them you're on Blab. Okay, that's cool. This is cool.
I'm your sarcastic movement.
I'm out of here. What?
The table.
Oh. Yeah. Okay, I just did one, the shrug. I like the shrug. Let's see, new topic. What does that mean? Okay, never mind. I don't know. I guess that's if you're wanting to talk about something else. And then /Q, what's up? And it popped up on the other side. You see that?
I like that.
Yay! Okay.
Oh. It's nice because then we can see the actual questions and address them versus seeing the whole stream and trying to find them.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I would love for you guys to do. When I'm talking to one of you, if the other two of you could welcome people and answer any questions over in the whatever, or say, hey, Sally, you guys need to answer this or something to help prompt us, because it can get very distracting and I can't keep up with my own thoughts if I'm trying to look at both sides of the screen. So any help would be great. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I want to say, first, I want each of you to kind of give me your quick tagline of what you do and put your website in the chat box. And then we're going to go to Kathy for more detailed discussion. Okay. So Laura, you go first.
All right. Well, I am newly titled the Rockstar Pinup Gal. And my tagline is get your Pinterest out of the gutter. So I have repurposed my company, and I focus on social media marketing and graphic design. And the two things that I love to specialize in are Pinterest and blogging.
Yay! Okay, good.
Awesome.
Which blogging is something I've got to talk to you about. That's another thing on my list.
Sounds good.
Me too.
So I need help, like grasping all the goodies that I put out there all over the place and pulling them into my blog.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I randomly spit out goodness all over, and then it doesn't get on my blog.
Yeah, it's very underutilized, but it's a big traffic thing for everybody on their websites.
Yes. All right. Yay. Okay. So, and Laura put her website over on the side, Envision Advertising, and we love Laura. Laura and I have known each other for several months now. So, yay.
Yay.
Okay. All right, Mariana, please. You're the one I know the least in this group. So tell me about you, real quick version.
Okay, so I am a business coach and I help mom entrepreneurs free them from the 9-to-5 struggle. A little bit about how I started with that. I had my daughter premature and I had started a health coaching business and was able to use that income to help my family. So I became like beyond passionate about helping other moms that can't work or don't want to. And I do a lot of marketing stuff, obviously through my business coaching, but I do a lot of stuff with tech stuff because I didn't really realize that I was good at tech until I started having to do my website and just figure it out, right?
Yes.
And so I know that's a huge frustration for moms who are just getting started. And so I talk a lot about that. And obviously I have a lot to say about limiting beliefs, being a mom and balancing everything. So I'm really excited.
That's cool. Can I ask, did you do this with a particular health company to start and you're doing something else, or are you still using like a product you're selling, or how are you doing that?
No, I do it completely by myself now. I started off with an MLM company and then I like completely branched off by myself. And so I do have some experience there. And that's the part that I really loved, was like the downline that I was building and like that relationship. I really wanted to continue that beyond just helping health coaches. And so now I help women who are like doulas. I've helped other women who have like VA companies and all this other stuff. So
did you know that's exactly what I did? Exactly. I was a Beachbody coach. I was a Beachbody coach I'm still a Beachbody coach, but I'm not actively doing anything with it. I haven't even logged into that website since, I'm not going to say, it's been a while. Oh yeah, since you made me, you're like, hey, go look this up, right? No, somebody asked me for something the other day and I went, oh gosh, I don't even know how to log in anymore. So, but anyway, I recruited like 40 personal coaches, if you will. And I had like my husband and me, and I had it all lined up, and I was making good money and everything. But it was a lot of work, and I felt like the technology was lacking as far as like what they needed. And my coaches were either, sometimes they might be into it and sometimes they wouldn't. And I would try to do videos and say, here's how you do it. It's really not that hard. Just do this or whatever. And then they wouldn't watch it, but then they would want it, but then they wouldn't watch it. And then everybody else started figuring out I knew how to do it in this 800 person group. And they wanted me to help them all the time. And it was fine. I loved helping them, but I was not getting paid for it. And so I was like, you know what? I know this stuff really, really well, and I'm going to figure it out. So anyway, that's a tangent on its own, but that's how my business began, because I was like, okay, I'm taking off this. I'm going to create a whole thing. And then I found out that none of them were really my specific target market. Some of them are, but I'd have to create a very specific niche for them. So I'm going on with the whole, I can coach business coaches and healers and other fitness and health coaches that are not doing MLM, and then some that are doing MLM, but they tend to have their own, posse going, if you will. And it just developed into a whole new thing. So welcome. I'm glad you're doing that. Yeah. All right. So Catherine, Catherine, I want to talk to you. Do you go by Kathy or Catherine or both, or what's your preference?
Well, I go by Catherine. Some of my accounts are set up under Kathy, but since I started doing this work and kind of moving out more and being seen, I prefer Catherine. Okay. So, that's fine. If you do either way, I mean, I'll answer to whatever.
Well, I just want to say the right thing for you.
Right. That's fine.
Okay. So I would love it if you would explain to us what you do, because I find it very interesting. I'm getting into the world of people like you as far as like what you're teaching and doing, and I'm really enjoying it.
Right. Good. Well, thank you so much for having me on, Sally. Those limiting stories that pop up in your head when certain things happen, or a trigger may come across your screen and you immediately think something negative about yourself? Well, that's what I like to teach people, first of all, to recognize that they're telling themselves a limiting story, and then have them look at it to see if it's still true or not. And if it's no longer true, if it's something left over from when you were a kid or young adult, and it's no longer true now when you're out in the world, making a living or doing whatever you're doing, I've developed a 4-step process that it kind of walks you through very gently, not why you've been telling yourself the limiting story. There's no punishment involved, but it's more of a way to kind of shift that story so you regain your own power. And I call that. Yeah, I call it story alchemy, because it's an energetic process almost, and you're totally in charge of it, and you totally decide where you want to go with it. But it's the knowing that there's something that needs to be changed, and then shifting that story and telling yourself a more empowering story, and it totally shifts your relationships outside, because you've shifted your relationship with yourself.
I like that. I actually experienced that this morning with my cleaning lady.
Okay.
And I was like, driving over here, I actually had a moment to think, because I had to drive, right? And I thought, oh my goodness, this just happened this morning, and I want to mention it on the show. But a few days ago, I've got a new cleaning lady. She only speaks Spanish, so I have to speak Spanish with her, and I'm still speaking Italian, and so I get it mixed up, and I'm constantly saying the wrong words, and then I'm like, oh shoot, that is not the Spanish word, and I'm always trying to be in a hurry to tell her things, but then I'm like, oh, blah, and the wrong words come out, but then we're good. So it's a learning process when you have somebody. It's kind of like having a VA. It's a learning process, right? You got to be able to say, this is how I would like it done. And, oh, this was great what you did, but please do it this way because this works better with whatever. Same thing with laundry, when you got kids, when you got whatever. And so I had a list of things. She told me, she said, please send me a text message when you want me to do something different, because her son can translate it for her, because it's easier for me to give specifics in English, right?
Sure.
And so I had given her like 5 or 6 things the other day. I was like, when you do this, I would like you to do this, whatever. And don't put this here because then we can't find it. And, whatever. Our lives are chaos at home. We got way too much going on. So it's better if we can just find things. I don't care if it's perfect. So she was like, your house is so, it's too much and and it's so hard. And she was, I could feel the tears in her message back to me. And I said, no, don't worry. I keep telling her, don't do everything. So I created this grid, and this is a totally different story, but I created this grid of all these things to do. And I said, look, I don't want you to do this every single week. I want you to do all of this every single month. Okay. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And she was trying to do all of it in one day.
Yeah. Well, no wonder she thought
4 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She looks like the Energizer Bunny when she comes in. She's just like, and then when I talk to her, she's sweating, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is crazy. Don't stop being in a hurry. No ten prisa, no ten prisa, whatever. And she's just like, I'm like, okay, whatever. So today she said, I'm just so stupid. And I said, you know what? Don't ever say that, ever. You are not stupid. Don't ever say that. There is a way around this situation, and it's more about the communication. It's like the prior cleaning lady didn't do half the stuff you're doing in one day. Are you kidding me? And that was her friend who moved away. And I'm like, don't do that. And so we had a little discussion about it. I mean, she was crying. I had to give her a hug and everything. I was like, this is not about you not being enough or you not being able to do this, but for you to tell yourself you're stupid, that's just wrong. So let's just turn that around. And I just wanted to mention that.
And that's, for me, that's a really big hurdle for a lot of people. And I think it's really hard in today's society for people to not jump to that conclusion. Because even in my 8-year-old's eyes, he will say, like, even if it's just spelling, like, I'm dumb, I can't get it, I didn't get them all right. And they put this perception that he has to be perfect, that he has to always get them all right. And I feel like it's like that with anything in life, no matter what age you are. And it's really hard to break from that, whether you're 8 years old or 29 years old or it doesn't matter. And it's really difficult to go against the grain and break that. And
male or female.
Yes.
It crosses both.
Here's the thing though, Laura, it can be a habit to go to the negative instead of the positive. So with your son, if you can help him see the positive, and no one's perfect. I don't know where we got this expectation of being perfect or trying to be perfect.
Yep.
No one can meet that standard. So just let that go. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
And especially for an 8-year-old. I mean,
I know. And it's really easy to do that at home. But then when you go out and you have all the other people that still think the other way, it's really hard for that individual, again, whether they're 8 or whether they're older, to not have to deal with what they're telling you or what they tell you you should be doing or how you should be acting or things like that. That's been very hard to train even when you're little like that. And even now, now I've learned to cope with that and push past it and things like that. But it is hard if you don't have that right from the get-go in the beginning.
Right. And see, here's the thing. People have 2 basic needs, the need to be seen and the need to be valued. And you have to see yourself first, and you have to value yourself. Other people will do that. Yeah. And I know telling an 8-year-old that is hard, and I'm talking more about, young adults or adults, but that's why it's so important and listen what you tell yourself. Because I don't know about you, but I can be my own worst critic. And I would never talk to anyone else the way I talk to myself. And, once I started hearing myself, it was like, why am I doing this? Why am I punishing myself? And it's just a shift in perspective.
So how do you coach someone through that who needs your help? Or do you have them dump all those thoughts out on paper or talk into a voice memo or what?
Right. The easiest way to start listening to yourself is to set an intention. And, what I do is journal in the morning and kind of think back on the day and then set an intention for the day to come. And the intention I usually set is that I'm going to tell myself empowering stories. And it's amazing if you do that. And I've meditated, so that really helps. But if you set an intention at the beginning of the day, it really does tend to come true. Now, not all the time, and things happen at an event. we have control over what we see. And I know that sounds like a statement that doesn't make sense, but we really do. Henry David Thoreau has a very famous quote that I repeat 20 times a day, which is, it's not what you see. It's not what you look at that matters. It's what you see. And when you understand that these limiting beliefs and stories affect what you see outside in the world, that's when you can start saying, well, wait a minute, I want to clear my vision. I want to clear my perception and start seeing more authentically and more realistically and more truthfully. So I don't know if that makes sense or not.
How do you spell Thoreau?
Thoreau. Henry David Thoreau.
Got it. It's not what you look at that matters. It's what you see. Henry David Thoreau. And I knew I knew I've seen it before, but I couldn't remember how to spell it.
And that's such a simple quote, but if you kind of tell yourself that throughout the day and then set the intention, decide that you're going to see positive, good, love, whatever it is, you're going to start to see that.
Now,
so
you've taken...
think about that.
Go ahead, Mariana.
Okay, I have a really real thing that happened to me when I used that situation as far as setting an intention. I did do a lot of work before this. I did hypnobirthing.
Hypnobirthing?
And hypnobirthing, yeah. And in it, I'll type it. So
give a synopsis of what that is.
What I basically did.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So basically, I did meditations, affirmations, and basically just positive self-talk and self-belief about birthing and birthing not being painful. And what I did is I had to watch, it was like a little class I took when I had my son. And then we had to watch videos of non-painful births, like hours and hours of videos. And every day I would do the affirmations and then the meditation at night. And I set an intention that I set two intentions. One, that my birth was not going to be painful. Number two, I set an intention that my husband would be present for my birth. And my husband at that time was across the country. He was in Texas. I was in New York. And it was for him, it was like, okay, I was having a totally natural birth. So I started going into the labor and I said, okay, honey, it's time to come. His flight was delayed. There was like every single delay possible. And I waited for him at 10 centimeters dilated for a whole hour. And I just sat there and I said, I have no urge to push, which is really, really unusual. But I had this intention that I had set, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, my birth was not painful at all. And I just, as soon as he got there, I started pushing and my baby was born in 40 minutes. So, I mean, it is so powerful, what you can do when you just like put all of your minds at work to work for you.
And we all have that capability. It's our thoughts that create our life. And by going into meditation and visualization and affirmations, you just supported your intention. And because you were so focused on it and you didn't even allow the thought of any pain coming in, that's incredible. That's such a great story, Mariana.
Yeah, that is.
Thank you.
Well, I had twins. We won't talk about that birth. All right. So I wanted to mention Rita. Rita says, I have my clients get 2 glass or clear vases, and at the beginning of the week, I have them fill one with marbles, and every time they find themselves talking critically to themselves, I'm such an idiot, what love life, or ugh, look at these wrinkles, this dress is horrible, then they have to pick up a marble and move it to the empty vase. Over the week, they see visually the empty jar fill, see how frequently they speak critically to themselves. That's a great exercise in making it tangible.
Well, and visible.
Yeah.
I've actually done that in the opposite direction for at home. And this is, again, not to relate it to an 8-year-old, but for our house, we have what we call warm fuzzies. And so we have 2 clear jars. And when there are good things that are said or good things that are done, he moves one to the other jar. So he can see how that makes him feel by the end of the week, how many he's gotten and the difference between the two. So on the opposite side of it, instead of seeing how many times you were negative to yourself, he sees how many times he was positive to himself and how happy he got when he felt that as well.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah,
really
I like that. I need to come up with one for my 12-year-old daughter. Oh, here comes my puppy. Hey, Sunny. Here's Sunny. Sunny, up, look up. Whoop, there she goes. Never mind. I don't have any food for you. Go away. Love you. She's been shaved. So
hey, Sally.
Yeah.
A really good comment by Rita Goodrow.
Oh wait, what's really cool?
Yeah.
Rita says, what's really cool is eventually your brain fights you and says, no, don't put that marble in the vase. No more bad talk. And then they'll autocorrect the thought and not have to put the marble in the empty vase.
Yep.
Yeah. What if you hid the empty vase where you couldn't really see it and you were holding the pretty one with all the marbles and you knew that if you put the marbles in the bad vase, the pretty marbles would go away, right? So you wouldn't see them anymore. So then maybe that would even be more of a resistance to move those marbles to the negative vase.
That would work. Yeah. I mean, you have to come up with
you do whatever you want.
For you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anything that'd be cool. I need to think of something for my daughter though, because and it needs to relate to Minecraft.
Catherine, you talked earlier about journaling. Do you have a specific journal and or book or something that you suggest? I'm very big on, a lot of people nowadays are very online. I mean, I work on social media all the time and blogging all the time, but it doesn't do me justice to write a blog like it would if I were writing in a journal. But I haven't been able to find a specific journal that resonates with me or that I like, where I can write what I want, or that it kind of prompts me every once in a while to think about things I'm thinking about. Do you have any good suggestions for something like that?
No, but I may create one.
I was about to say, let me.
Yeah,
I was about to say, let me help you with the revenue.
Well, it's just hard for me when there's not a prompt. I can, again, it's switching that shift to not focus on what I want to write that happened negative or positive or vice versa, but to have a prompt to think about either, the day before or what's coming up in the week or whatever. I find myself that if I sit down with a blank piece of paper, it's hard for me to spend that quality time in writing something because my mind starts going. And Sally, maybe you can relate to this, but my mind goes in 50 different directions. And so I think about, what work I have to get done or the cleaning of the house needs to get done. And I never actually spend that specific time that I intended to spend on doing that journal.
Right. And that's, I understand that. But at first thing in the morning, if you set that aside just time to journal and, what's the lady's name? She wrote The Artist's Way. She recommends just free flow, just write it out. And she calls them artist pages. And there's no structure to them, but you kind of get all the gunk out to get to the good stuff. So that's one way. There's so many different ways to do it.
Catherine, I had a session with Dina Gould on Monday.
Okay.
Can you? It's echoing. Is it echoing for you? Oh, somebody. No. Oh, that was you, Laura. You did that. I had an EFT, she does, what's EFT mean?
Emotional freedom technique.
Yeah. Okay. Emotional freedom technique. She did me up on Monday over the phone, and we do this every few months. And she told me about that book. She told me to go get it, The Artist's Way.
Oh, it's fabulous. And I'll remember the author's name in a minute. It's called The Artist's Way.
Yeah, it's in my Amazon wish list right now.
Yeah, she wrote it to help artists, but it really has a much broader application because when you think about it, we all are artists. We all create our life by what our thoughts, our beliefs, and then what the actions and decisions we make on those thoughts and beliefs. So it's so worth it.
Oh, there's a workbook. There's a starter kit. There's all kinds of stuff. Hey, I didn't know that.
There's a whole cottage industry around it. Yeah.
Julie Cameron. By Julie Cameron.
And she's a fabulous writer. And as you read in it and dive into it, just her way of expressing, I don't know, for me, it just totally resonated. So
okay, I've lost the blab screen now okay, there it goes. I couldn't find my way back to here. Julie Cameron, author of that book. All right.
The Artist. Yes.
The Artist's Way. Yeah, it looks like there's a whole series. There's like a set.
Yeah. Highly recommend.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. But to your point, Laura, if you can make journaling just a habit, and you can use Julia Cameron's approach, or just when you get up in the morning while you're still lying in bed, think about what you want to accomplish that day. Or think about what it is you want to feel that day. And then after you do a real quick morning routine and sit down to journal, write about that thought or write about that intention. And you'll be surprised at what comes out. It's amazing. You just have to set aside kind of your judgmental thinking brain and just let it flow. And this is pen to paper. This is not on the computer. There's such a different process that happens in your brain when you're actually using a pen. Remember how to hold a pen. And write it out. And I can give you one more trick that I use sometimes if I get blocked, if you're interested. And I don't have a name for this, but what I do is I'll write a question that's bothering me, like, should I pursue this or should I get in touch with this person? And then kind of sit on that for a minute and think about it. And you could call it meditation. And then when I feel ready, I'll pick the pen up in my other hand. So I'm right-handed, so I'll pick the pen up in my left hand and just write down whatever comes out. And of course, it's hard to read. I feel stupid because I'm clutching the pen because it's not my normal way. But it somehow connects to a different part of my brain. And when I go back and reread that question answer, you would be amazed at the answers you get, because I think you're tapping into something a little bit deeper. And you're getting past your thinking brain, your logical brain. And you're getting more onto the right side. Does that resonate with you at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just try it, experiment. The first time you do it, you're going to feel really dumb, awkward, and there's those limitings. But just have fun. Just play with it and see what happens. So.
Okay. Sounds good.
I put a question over there because I didn't want to forget. Mariana, that's for you.
Okay, so it's an app on your phone. I don't know if you want me to bring it up. It's a diary with prompts and a grid diary. I also I have my journal, but I rarely write in it. So I use this, and it has multiple questions. You can move them around. Okay. So like I prompt myself to do my visualization. I prompt myself to do my gratitude, my intention, affirmation. So I remind myself to do those. I like it because it then keeps track of that over time. So I can look back at what I've done in a more like I'm a very logical thinker. So it comes out more like a spreadsheet of like, okay, this is what I said for like the last 20 days. And like, look it's getting better. Right. So to me, that type of like, I guess, I don't know if you would call it analytics.
Hey, what's the name?
That sounds like something I would like. The Grid Diary.
The Grid Diary. Okay, good. Yeah.
It's an app. Okay. Let me type that in. Grid Diary app. Okay, good. You got facebook.com. Okay, cool. Grid Diary.
Cool.
Like that. Okay, now Rita said, oh, go ahead.
No, you good.
I was just going to read Rita's thing. Rita says Austin Kleon's book, Steal Like an Artist, goes into that analog versus digital workstation concept and how it's important to go digital when you're ready to publish or make the final product, but creative. Write it down, cut out photos, etc. Oh, that's a good idea. And then, and then move to the computer. So I understand that too. I run a class called the Roadmap, which is like a goal setting course, and it's digital though. So it's like, I have 3 videos that are really short and just have you go through some exercises to create the life that you want. You kind of come up with like a vision of where you're sitting, and like then you go into what you want, and you set measurable goals, and then you create a vision board out of those goals that you've set. And it's a digital vision board. You can do it on your phone, you can do it on PicMonkey, you can do it however you want to create it digitally. But some people do like to do the crafty ones. They cut things out of magazines, or they get Scrabble pieces or whatever, and they make a board, and then they will post that. I did have a couple of people do the hands-on craft, which I think is great. But of course, I was trying to do a quick digital thing like I always do. But I do feel like if I did that with my kids, that I would probably enjoy it even more. Because I always love doing my vision board. It always makes me feel so good. It's the wallpaper of my computer, so I see it every day. But it helps because I do look at it and I'm like, wow, I'm actually accomplishing some of these things. This is incredible. So, but I like that, getting into the whole physical, tangible part of it. Mm-hmm. with your journaling. Of course, my penmanship, as I was saying in the chat, I can't write anymore. I write like a doctor.
Yeah. Well, you get out of practice, right? Yeah.
And I will say
that yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to mention something else, because what we're really doing is kind of bypassing the logical, linear thinking and getting more into the creative side, right? So something else I've started doing, have you guys started seeing these adult coloring books in the bookstore?
Yeah.
And Zen drawings?
Yes.
I don't know what it is about Zen drawings, but I just love those. So I've been doodling and trying to learn how to do that. And it's really amazing. It's almost like a meditation as you're doing the Zen drawings or coloring in the lines. I don't know if you guys have played around with that or not.
Yeah, my mom has one of those books, but she told me she didn't want it. So I have to figure. Well, my mom is an artist, and so she would rather just paint a blank canvas. Okay. So I was like, okay, she doesn't want to get into the little coloring and all that. So when we go over there, my daughter actually picks it up and does it. So it's a good thing, right?
Well, but Sally, have you picked it up and done it?
I've done it. Yes. Okay. You're going to laugh.
Yeah.
I've done it. There's also, I live in the art district in Nashville, and there is an art gallery that has an entire, like the whole room is covered in those. And so you go in and you just color your little section if you want. But there's an app for that.
Of course there is.
Where did it go? I've got it on my phone, and every once in a while I'll go in and I'll just make this little thing. I wish I had it right. I can't see it on my phone. I can't find it, but it's called Colorfy. There it is. Colorfy. Okay. And you can actually tap your colors in.
Okay. So that's fun. Who knew we were going to talk about that when we started out with limiting beliefs, right?
True. Okay, so back to the limiting beliefs. What does anybody have a story of your own that you want to share? I know, Mariana, you're talking about how you do things and then you do the whole hypnobirth. Has anybody else got another story?
Well,
I can go into mine here for a quick second. I think Sally knows mine the most out of the four of us here, just because one thing that I've really leaned on is finding that supportive group of like-minded individuals. And I am so blessed that I connected with Sally, because I started out a few years back as a virtual assistant. And it really wasn't my passion, and it really wasn't where I was wanting to go with my company when I originally thought about what I wanted to be doing and why I wasn't in the corporate world. But over time, you know, you were told by different parties of my family and different things, like I'm the only entrepreneur of my family. And so I was told, you know, you need to go to college, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I went to college. I actually went for 6 years. And I am doing parts of what my degree came from. And then I ended up going back to finish out degrees. But it's not where my family wanted me to be. And so I ended up feeling like I was kind of stuck in that rut of, well, this is what's making us money. I was a single mom for a few years. And so, you know, I needed to be supportive, and I got a lot of support financially from my parents, but not really emotionally for what I wanted to build on my company. And so the past 8 months to a year, I have really been able to connect with people who have helped me figure out what my passion is and how to be able to break through that. So now I can confidently say that we are launching new things for my company, and I am working closely with people that I love to work with. And I'm not afraid anymore. I was on the phone with a coach who said, okay, if you shift from what you're doing right now and what you're asking for in price to X, Y, and Z and what you want to be doing, you know, what's stopping you? And I said, well, this is, you know, $45 and this is $150. And I don't know that people will pay for this. And she goes, well, what is that telling you? That's your fear. That doesn't mean people out there aren't going to want that or aren't going to need that. That's you telling yourself that it's not available. It's not going to happen. You're afraid to do that. And I really feel like from that conversation on, I was able to connect with more people like Sally. And we haven't gone through mind mapping per se, but we've talked about different structures of what she goes through in her mind mapping and just figure out really where I want to be, where it's valued, and just do it, how to just do it. I don't need to be afraid that people aren't going to flock to me right away. But the second that I changed, literally in what, I think it was 45 days, Sally, less than 2 months, I had 3 people sign up for my new programs, and I have had nothing but raving reviews since then. So it literally is my own limiting belief telling myself that I wasn't able to do that until now, until I have figured out I'm doing it. People are excited about it. People need it. And it's what I'm passionate about. So it's a more recent story, but that's mine.
But you also know that we're going to scale that up, right? You realize that that's going to get scaled because you may be working with, right. You're working with 3 people now, and that's wonderful. But what is your capacity for you alone? That's what you need to figure out. And then how do you scale that to be even greater, in which you know what that is, because part of what you're doing is going to go inside my school. In case you guys don't know, Social Media Traffic School is something that I'm launching in May, and it starts June 1st. It's an 8-week intensive. It's all being figured out right now. That's why I worked until midnight every day this week, because I'm trying to get that whole initial organization done and get everything farmed out that I need to, so I can do what I need to do to make this happen. Right. So Laura is this rock star pinup girl who is taking over my Pinterest account, getting my Pinterest in order because it was a mess, a hot mess. And so she's fixing that for me and helping me get people over into my group, into my list, into my programs, etc., whatever. And she's good at it, and she knows the strategy of how it needs to be done, and she knows how to engage with people the right way so that they can come over to where I like to engage with people. That's the whole purpose, is to drive the traffic to me where I am so that I can then build those relationships. It's not about me spreading myself so thin that I can't build relationships. If you hire someone to help you bring in from their Like Pinterest is her thing. She loves it. I don't do Pinterest. I don't do it. Right. And so, yeah. And all the more reason for me to hire her to come in and bring people to me over to my Facebook group, right? Makes total sense. And then I can nurture that relationship there. And if they don't like the Facebook group, it's okay. It's fine. They don't have to. Maybe they'll take the school. Maybe they won't. And the way that you're going to scale that up is going to be with the course you're creating, the webinars, and so on and so forth, and coming up with a way to mass group coach people on these concepts and to then have more people to do the management side of it. Because as long as you continue to manage individual accounts and don't have a way of scaling up to manage a lot of them and have like some sort of effect with, multiple people or teaching other people to do it, you'll always be in that little hole that you've created, right? That little space. And then once you're up there, you're going to be, you can be the new Melanie Duncan, but not her, your own, I can't wait.
Yep. And we are working on that. I mean, like, I don't mean to keep, highlighting Sally, but following the different people that have taken what their passions are is now really my next step into knowing that. And it's really cool for me is to not be afraid to take that next step. I'm really not afraid anymore to scale up, to come up with the ideas of what I'm doing. And put it into where I can and make it bigger than myself. I think now that I've broken through the doors of that first fear, I don't really have that stop or that wall anymore to say, well, this person, used this structure and did it this way, so why can't I?
I love that.
Well, and Laura, since you changed your perspective, didn't that open up so many more things that were probably in front of you all along, but you didn't see because you were telling yourself a different story?
Yeah, it totally did. In so many different walks of life, not just for the business or for my family, but in so many different areas.
Yeah.
So, Catherine, what was your story?
I'm not sure I should share this with all you techie people because I'm not techie.
That's okay.
But just and everybody online is probably going to go, oh my God. But here we go. I redid my website last summer and I wanted to get more traffic to it. So I created a virtual dance party because, my whole thing is heart dancing. So I thought, that'd be great. Yeah. And what it was, you as I advertise and let people know, you go into the Facebook group on the day of the party, and at the top of every hour, I posted a clue. And to answer the clue, you had to go to my website, right? I mean, I thought it was a brilliant idea.
I love this.
Yeah, but here's the techie part that I totally screwed up on. To win the little prize for each hour, they had to answer the question, but to let me know, they had to send it to my Gmail account, right? And so then I'd get a bunch of people, and pick one of those for that hour's prize. Well, that was all mapped out and I was all ready to go. And people were telling me the day of the party that, hey, I just sent my answer in. Did you get it? And I'm looking at my Gmail account going, no, I haven't gotten anything. Well, I didn't realize when I set up my account, I accidentally, go figure, I misspelled my last name. I put it, instead of E-R-I-K-S-E-N, I put E-R-I-L-K-S-E-N and then created the account, didn't realize it. So they were sending answers. Apparently there's another Catherine Erickson. They were sending answers to the wrong Gmail account. I know. And so believe me, I had a moment at my house when I realized that, and all the you're so stupid. What are you doing? You don't know anything about this. Why are you doing, all of that. And then I took a deep breath, and this is something I recommend because to me, that was like a shame storm. I don't know if you've heard that term or not.
A shame spiral or
shame. Brene Brown is real big on shame storms, but that was my shame storm. Like, how could I be such an idiot? and you can actually feel your body reacting. You can actually feel that and you start crying, and I could go into all of that, but hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about. But when you can step back and say, okay, and do some deep breathing and walk around to just kind of get some distance from it, you have to be able to step out of that emotion, that shame kind of emotion. And then you go back and say, okay, what can I do to make this better? And so I posted on Facebook, use this Gmail, and send out emails, and it all worked out fine. But that just showed me how quickly I can go back into limiting stories. And if you know that you're going into a limiting story and then you have a strategy to get you out of it, it's so much better than staying inside that story and getting dragged down that rabbit hole. Believe me. So that's the story I'd like to share. And why didn't I test that Gmail account? I didn't think about it.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
One of you guys.
No, next time make a Google form.
Well, next time, I have so much to learn, but just the bottom line for you, when you learn to recognize what your physical responses are and that you are in that kind of shame storm or negative story, like I said, step back, go look outside, go walk outside, just take 5 minutes and then do some deep breathing. And it'll because what's happening is your body is physically reacting to your emotional reaction. You've got adrenaline going through. And you can't think when all that's going through. So you have to break that cycle physically before you can mentally come back in and do something positive and do something affirming.
I find it interesting that you said that about adrenaline, because when my mom was in rehab recently from her leg breaking she broke her leg Christmas Day. And she was already in a wheelchair. She's already in a wheelchair for the last 4 years after multiple accidents. And this leg break was the final straw as far as like her being able to be in assisted living or not. And so we're in this transition of like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Because my mom has her mind, but her body just doesn't want to do what she wants it to. And she doesn't qualify anymore to live in the assisted living. So the situation is us trying to find a way to care for her that's not a nursing home that we can actually afford. There's a gap in there, and it's really difficult. It's a difficult gap to fill, and it's heartbreaking. But when I was talking with the therapist, the psychotherapist at the rehab center, she said, my mom was starting to get very angry and lash out at people before she was going, because she'd been there for several weeks, and it was just very frustrating for her. And she was not being nice at all to a lot of the caregivers. And of course that doesn't bode well for her in the end, because then they don't want to go in her room. So, and I hate to say that about you, Mom, I love you, but it was hard. So anyway, but she was in a horrifying situation, it was horrifying. So, I'm trying to get to my point in that. What were you saying right before that? Because now I've lost my train of thought.
Well, when you feel a limiting story or shame storm, do you feel bad about what's happened to your mom?
Well, yeah, but there was something that happened the psychotherapist, that's what I was saying. The psychotherapist said, what is happening to you has to do with the adrenaline flowing, in your body, your brain, or whatever, wherever it is. The reason you're getting so frustrated is that, and we've got to figure out a way for you to, deal with the adrenaline as adrenaline so that you're not out, reacting emotionally immediately. Okay.
Did they provide any techniques or give her any way to handle that?
We try. It's difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
It's getting better because we are in a better situation now, and that she's being cared for in a private home. There's only, 8 residents and 3 people who take care of the house. And it's very much right there, attention, what she needs. But Mom has had such a pattern of telling herself how terrible she is for a long time that her life has just continually gotten worse and worse and worse, physically, because of her emotional, reaction.
Right. And that again, our thoughts create most of this, and emotions come after the thought. Everyone thinks the emotions come first. What you think triggers that emotion. And so when you're in an emotional state that activates those really powerful chemicals like cortisol or adrenaline, that can also impact your body. So yeah, I can see where she would have a hard time if she's constantly, being hard on herself or negative.
Yeah.
Is there any way you, would she be interested in meditation or any kind of, mindfulness training or?
I probably, I would think so. I would think so. Well, we should talk because I don't know how to do that for her. I feel like I have to do so much for her already that I can't provide all of the other things. I did not get to go over to her place this week, but one time, and I'm going tonight because she sent me a message a couple of days ago and said, I really miss you. And used to, it was, I need this. I need that. I need this. I need that. It was always like that before. And I feel like, she and I had a real discussion, big time discussion when she was in the nursing home. She was in the nursing home for 5 days. And it was like a Stephen King story. And I know that she was about to lose her mind in there because her mind knows what's going on. And everybody else there was like this. You know what I mean?
Right. And she's still functioning. She still understands who she is. That's hard.
Yeah, that's not a good situation for anybody.
No. And she could live 20 more years in her condition without walking or transitioning herself anymore. I don't know. Maybe we'll have a miracle. I would love a miracle. I'm hoping that the mindset part of it might be able to help us with that. But hers is all just like lack of use of her body. It's lack of use. That and some other specific physical things. But she has allowed her emotional pain to turn into physical pain, to then need pain medication, to then need all these other things that are keeping her body just not in a good place. So,
well, I'm happy to talk to you offline.
Yeah. I'd love to talk offline too.
Yeah.
Laura says she'd like to talk too. So that's that's good. Yay. Let's all fix it.
One thing I just want to read that Rita said in the comments is, our thoughts became our feelings lead to actions, our actions create our results. Actions being the words we say, the things we do, the things we choose not to say, to not do, etc.
Yeah. And you know what? I've heard Brooke Castillo say a lot about that in her podcast. Have you ever listened to Brooke Castillo? She runs something called the Life Coach School. She's amazing. Amazing. Her podcasts are so good in every subject you could imagine. Go on there and there's got to be 100 of them or more. I haven't been on in a long time. And she talks about that whole thoughts into feelings, into actions, into results. And, that whole, everything goes back to your thoughts.
Can you type your name in the chat?
Totally.
Yeah. Hey, Vicky, thank you. She said she likes our points and she wants to go back and listen to this some more. Yeah, all of this is good. Definitely pass it around. I mean, it's on here. It's public. It's where you can see it. Okay, so if anybody else has anything you want to mention,
I have one.
Please go ahead. But
yeah. I think one limiting belief that I definitely had, I typed it in the chat bar, and that is that you can't make money if you don't have a real job. Even just saying it out loud, I just feel silly about it. But I really, really, really struggled with this. And I know that I'm not alone in that. And I just wanted to ask you guys, like, I'm just starting to come to the other side of that, and it's really, really feeling good. But, like, what did you guys do? Did you guys feel this way? Like, can we just chat about this just a little? Because I know we're kind of running over.
Yeah, it's okay. But I had it very much so. I've been an actuary for the last 24 years. And I actually went into the field thinking that I needed to go into that because I was told, you are good at math. You're the best math student I've ever had. You would be a great actuary. I read the newspaper article that's been published every year since I was in high school 30 years ago that actuary is the number one job to have. So who took that job? I took that job. And the belief that I had coming out of it was that if I didn't do something like that for myself, my husband one day, if I got married, was going to leave me behind and I was going to be stuck high and dry, sitting in the same situation that my mother was in 25 years ago. That was the belief I had. And all that happened in college. And so I was like, I have to do this. And I had so much trouble, not with the math or the schooling or whatever, but just with the expectation that I put on myself. And then boom, I went into that. Well, a few years ago, I started having, the tax season for my job is very, very grueling because there's a lot of reports that have to be done after the year end is done. And we have to get those wrapped up and sent off to the companies very quickly so that their auditors can look at it before they file their business taxes, right? And do whatever they need to do. Well, when you do a report like that, it is a heavy thinking type of report. And you normally do 10 to 12 of them a month. And then you do 45 in that month. It changes something about you. And I had done that so many times that I actually got physically ill to the point where I could not walk. I could not really get out of bed all that well without it hurting. I almost felt like I was like getting fibromyalgia or something, if that makes sense. And I think it was from the stress. Then it started to get to the point where a few months before it was coming, the dread was so heavy in my mind that I started getting sick earlier before it even came.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Catherine has bleeped out somehow.
She's here.
Who is this? I'm not even sure what the hell just happened.
Yeah.
I'm about to block him.
Yeah.
And
I was trying to wait until you were done talking.
Sorry, you're getting blocked. This is entirely inappropriate. Go away. You're blocked forever. Go away forever.
We don't need none of that here.
No, I mean, good gosh.
I know.
There you are.
Oh, there. Hey.
Okay, there you are. Wait. What? No wonder. Oh, wow. Okay.
How do you block people, by the way?
I think
you click on their name. Oh, is that how it is? Well, you click on their name and it comes up, and then there's a little triangle in the corner, and you click that to block them, and you kick them out of the broadcast, and you also block them from your account.
Okay.
So, yeah. All right, there we go. I see where you welcomed him. I'm not even going to acknowledge that he exists, so I'm going to take away anything that has his name on it.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So anyway, I didn't want to totally take over that piece of conversation, but I'm just saying that my belief was that I had to do that in order to survive in this world. And I kept that thought that I needed to keep doing what I was doing because my husband had such a crazy entrepreneurial pathway in life that I was always the rock steady, solid income. And I couldn't ever leave that. And it took a few things that happened for me to be able to do it. But I worked like a dog and like just about killed myself for another year to get out of it. And now I'm at the point where it's like, wow, I reduced this job. I still have my actuarial job, but I only work 10 hours a week on it, maybe. And I make more money per hour doing what I'm doing, the way that I restructured it.
Mm-hmm. I can totally relate, Sally. I'm a nurse, and that's my normal job. And I've been working in case management, so a lot of the stuff with like your mom, that kind of stuff, really difficult situations, and I would get tied in the middle between doctors and insurance and payments and all of this. It's a lot. It's a very stressful job, and I still consult for the hospital on the weekend sometimes. And when I have to do that job, it's not that many hours, but it completely drains me. I feel no energy. I feel like you said fibromyalgia. I was thinking last week, and I was like, I feel like I have chronic fatigue syndrome all of a sudden. Like,
yes.
But it really drains everything out of you all of a sudden because it's not what your passion is. And it's not until you really discover that thing that lights you up like that you really start to see it. But I still, it's crazy. I mean, it's really, really crazy. And knowing that we lived in that for so long before we really saw it, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
I lived for years doing it, and I was so depressed and I couldn't figure it out. And it's like now being on this side of things, I'm like, wow, like it's amazing.
I agree. I totally agree.
Hey, Sally, I'm going to have to run, but let me just pose one question to the three of you guys.
Okay.
Have you found in your own life that when you've moved through the fear as opposed to resisting the fear, that's where you've had your biggest breakthrough?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because fear is just an illusion, but we make it real by our thoughts.
I would even
the more you resist it, it becomes real in your mind. And you know how you can create an entire scenario about a situation or a person, and then it turns out it's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I would even take it one step further and say, even once you move through it, but then you come to the realization that you officially moved through it. Because I feel like sometimes there will be things that I move through and I still hold that fear, not realizing that the situation already corrected itself. Like I already moved past that. But then when I come to that awareness, I think is really when I can take it a step further.
Yeah,
exactly. But you stopped resisting it. You looked at it and then said, you took the steps necessary to move through it. So I just wanted to leave you with that. And then I'm going to have to go. Sorry. I
do too. I'm actually in Lead Pages certification training that starts at 1:00. I'm always late.
Okay.
But they didn't ask me before they scheduled it every Friday. So it's all right. But I want everybody, please type your information off to the side. Mine is 50shadesoforangeclub.com to get inside our social media group. Yay! And if anybody has any interest, I wanted to mention this, zipyourcourse.com. Laura is on the Zip Squad with me, and we actually have created a course maker's course on how to use Zippy courses. All of the little techie things you have to do in the background that people lose their minds over. It's not necessarily all that difficult, but if you haven't gone past the learning learning curve. It can be really, really hard to, it just takes a long time to get through it. And so we created a course that gives step-by-step everything. And we have 8 people on that called the Zip Squad. And I typed zipyourcourse.com is how you go and get on that email list to get the information. And then, of course, 50 Shades of Orange is to get into my thing. CatherineErickson.com with E. Make sure you click on it instead of trying to spell it. I messed that up the other day.
There's no L.
And then I typed in the chat too. I have a Facebook group where I offer a lot of social media tips and tricks for free just to kind of help people out because I still like to educate people. So if you go to freesocialhelp.com, that is where you can find that Facebook group.
And Mariana, is this to your website or is this a sign up for something?
Yeah, that's my website. I also have a group. It's a mom entrepreneur support group.
Okay.
I can type that in.
Yeah, type that in too. And after this chat, if you wanted to go back through and connect with anyone who had questions, you can. This will all still be up here on Blab, I'm pretty sure, right? Does the chat remain, Laura, anymore?
Yeah, I think it does.
Okay. All right. So thank you guys so much. Tweet it out one more time. Maybe people will come in back and watch the replay to see how fun we are talking about sad things. No.
No, this was great. Thank you, Sally.
No, this was really good.
Thank
you
awesome.
so much. All right. Thanks, guys. And I'll see y'all later.
Bye.
Next week, just the last thing I want to say, next week is the 50 Shades of what? Because I met 2 people who have 50 Shades of Marketing and 50 Shades of Paid, and I'm the 50 Shades of Orange Club, and so we're having the 50 Shades discussion next week, okay? Next Friday. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. This was great.
Thank you.